let's go ahead and write down some things that I want you to write down about the last week of class. So let's go over the last week of class. I'm going to do this in text, so that way y'all won't moan about being able to read my writing, okay? And we're going to put this in, nope, let's put it in, that's good enough. Last day of class is when? Now, let's talk about that, because even though you know the date, some of you are still going to break an anvil with a banana. So let's go ahead and, that's going to be on Tuesday, somebody make sure, April 23rd. Now, what day is your class? Your class is on Tuesday and Thursday. So your last day of class is Tuesday. So let's put that in, because I'll have students show up on Wednesday. By Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I've already covered this with them, but a lot of students, there'll be 5 or 6 students come up here Wednesday, the 24th, looking for their class. Yeah. Okay, on the last day of class, what happens? Well, homework terminates. Like the homework we're working on now. Okay, what else happens? Well, the final exam will start, and the last test will start.
Does homework terminate at 12 o'clock Tuesday?
Midnight, everything midnight. Oh, I'm sorry, 11:59 p.m. Homework terminates, the final exam will start, and the last test will start. The last test covers anything I cover until the last day of class. Okay, let's talk about the final exam. What the heck? What happened? I don't know what happened.
See if you can move that toolbar down. It might be like a back arrow button or something.
Poster would have gotten deleted.
Yeah, if I'd done it on a poster. I can't hit the undo button, because if I hit the undo button, it'll... Okay, y'all got it written down so far. I'll rewrite it. Sorry. I don't know what I hit. Thought I hit tab to move it over so I could hyphenate, but well, it won't hurt for y'all to go over it again. Last day of class. I'm not going to write some of it over. Tuesday, 4/23, and on that day, the
that says 4/34.
Why don't I just quit? Let's just go to the writing. I'll just write it. I can't.
Write it on a poster.
No, I'm gonna just write it on a poster is what I'm gonna do. The homework will terminate. The final exam will start. And after the final exam starts, the last test will start.
The Russians are getting on to you to do it.
Yeah, it's all about the Russians. Last test will start. Now, the final exam, you have 2 tries. And usually, I don't know, 25 or 33 questions. And you have a week to take it, and it'll end on the 30th. I'll write that down in just a minute. Well, end 4/30. Same thing with the, and the last test covers everything up to 4/23. Okay? Of course, the last test will say, Unit 4 test. It might say last test. I don't know if it says last test or not, but it'll be Unit 4 test. It'll cover chapters 9, 9.1, 9.2, and whatever I cover up until the 23rd, which pretty much will be hypothesis testing up until the 23rd. Okay? Now, during that week, and you got 2 hours. Take the test, take the final exam. During the week of finals, that's when I basically tweak the grade book. In other words, I go through and I check the weights of the grade book just to make sure that when you finish all your assignments, the grade that the grade book spits out is your what? Your grade. So please don't write me an email and say, how do I know what my grade is? Because I will not what? I will not respond. Your grade book, what do you hit to find your final grade? You hit final grade. And the final grade will give you your grade for the semester. Final grade, put that in a button, because there's a button in there above the button that says final grade. I think it says final grade.
In my last plus or in like TCTC grade book?
What have we been working with all semester?
Okay, that's what I was making sure.
That's another email I get.
I was just making
Yeah, I know. I'm not making fun of you. I'm making fun of the students that, send me the question at the end. Do we look up our grade in Blackboard? Do I respond? Nope.
What was the stupid?
We have never used Blackboard in my class. I've never used it. Why? Because it's down half the time. And that just gives y'all an extra excuse. Oh, it's down. It's down. How many times has my Labs Plus been down this semester? Once?
Yeah, one time.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. But usually Blackboard. How many times has Blackboard been down this semester? Like 6 times, from what students have told me. I don't know.
What was the stupidest question you've ever gotten from a student? Like,
I've told you, bonus questions. Those bonus questions are pretty much, some of them are the stupidest questions I've gotten at the end of the semester. But the dumbest was homeboy over here. No book, no nothing. Deadhead, drughead, whatever, pothead, whatever you call him. Come in here. And he asked at the end of the semester, I thought you dropped the lowest grade. I didn't respond. Of course, helicopter mom called. After about 3 non-responses, she called. Why don't you respond? No. I said, because I told him all of this the first week of the semester, the last week of the semester, and it's on his handouts. But he didn't bring a book to class. He didn't bring a notebook to class. He didn't come to class half the time. And when he did come to class, he just slept. Oh, that's what I got back from the helicopter person. Oh. Not I'm sorry, not anything like that, just oh. So anyway, the whole point is, and what does the bonus question say about dropping the final grade? No way, no what?
no how.
No way, no how. He said, oh, I thought that question said that you replace it. Yeah, good try, pothead. Anyway, the other question I got was the question from the ding, 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 ding. She's so happy. Yeah. She went on a cruise. I went on a cruise. Well, good for you. Okay, she went on a cruise and decided to tell me that she missed the 3rd or 4th test because she went on a cruise. I'm like, so? And she said that she forgot to tell me.
That sucks.
Where do you work? Do you work anywhere?
Sullivan,
So what happens if you don't call in for work? If you
you get fired.
say again?
You get fired.
Wow, that's something. So what do you do if you're not going to be at work? You what?
You
let them know. Yeah. So those are about the 2 dumbest ones I've got. One had no brain. I don't think she did. And the other one I ain't even going to talk about. So, those are the two dumbest questions I've got. I got an email this weekend that said, do you average the 3 tests together or do you take the highest? Guess where that came from? My calculus class.
Oh, wow.
Did I respond? Hell to the no. All right, anybody got a question about the last week? Sometimes I do something really weird. Okay? If I do something and you go to your homework and your test and you see something funny, do you write an email and say, Hubert, I'm confused, or do you roll with it?
Roll with it.
Same way if I give you an extra 10 points on a test. Are you going to say, Hubert, you gave me an extra 10 points on my test? No, you're not. You're going to roll with it. So if you see something on My Labs Plus and it looks funky, take advantage of it.
Almost probably not necessarily like that.
What?
Hey, teach, you gave me 7 points.
Yeah, you gave me 10 points. Yo, let me take it off, by all means.
You graded my test wrong. You gave me a higher grade.
Exactly. How many people do that?
It's so annoying.
But I do something for y'all to help y'all out on My Labs Plus. I do it to all my classes, and I'll get an email. I'll get an email from this class, probably from a deadhead that don't show up half the time. I saw this on My Labs Plus, and I'm confused. Do I reply? Hell to the no.
Just take it off there.
All right, anybody got questions? All right, now let's get to hypothesis testing. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover about 4 or 5 problems over the next couple of days. And then I'm going to narrow down what sections they come out of. So, but I want to show you before you get to the homework, because sometimes the homework is not a good depiction of what I'm trying to get you to learn. Yes, sir.
You know how you told us just to do like the 9.1, 9.2 homework and
Yeah.
10.1, I think it was. So like if we do all the homeworks, is that just stupid, or look for just?
Boy, don't go ahead of me. Never go ahead of me.
Well, I was just saying like.
You need to do 9.1, 9.2, and some of 10.1. After today, you can probably do 10.1 and 10.2.
Well, it was just like if we want to raise our like homework average, or is that just dumb? Like,
That might play into what I said about something funky I do at the end of the semester. Check on your My Labs Plus and you'll see. Okay? All right. Not being smart, just telling you. Check your My Labs Plus. The NFL believes that a team chances of winning a coin toss is greater than 5%. NFL believes that a team, I'm not going to say which team they chose because everybody, some of y'all are crazy about football teams and stuff, so I'm not going to do that. Chance of winning coin toss
Oh, did you see where they're shutting down your football league?
is what?
They're shutting down your football league.
I'm sorry, what?
That like semi-pro football league.
NFL.
No, the.
What about it?
They're shutting it down.
NFL probably shut it down. I hate that.
No, one of their biggest backers pulled out.
They say the XFL's coming back.
That's kind of fun to watch.
Is greater than 0.5 or 50%. Okay, so they're giving you something right here. They're giving you greater than. In a random sample of 200 tosses, the team that's in question gets, I'm ad-libbing here because I'm not writing all these words. The team gets 118. Is there enough evidence Is there enough evidence to say cheating? In other words, the coin is fixed or something, okay? So, we're going to write down several things, but before I do, we'll come back to this. I want to go to the next page, and we'll come back to this. And I want to write down the 5 rules of testing. Okay? Number 1, state the HO and HA. State the null and the alternative hypothesis. That's the number 1 thing, because that tells you what your tails are going to look like. Whether it's going to be 2 tail, left tail, right tail. Choose the level of significance. Level of significance. The level of significance is usually 0.05. Alpha, let me rewrite that so you'll know what. Remember, we've been going over alpha. Usually alpha equals 0.05 because that means a 95% what? Confidence level. Usually that's the standard. So you need to highlight that. Everybody get your highlighters out because we're going to highlight a few things on this. All right? Usually if the I didn't give you the confidence level in this question, so you go with 0.05. Okay? Usually the level of significance is usually going to be 0.05 unless specified in the what? In the question. So you need to highlight that. Usually 0.05. Because this is your significance level. A significance level of 0.05 tells you that you have a confidence level of what? 95%. Good. We already went over that. 3. Find the critical value. The critical value is basically going to be a Z or a what? T-score. Now how do you know when to do what? Highlighter time. And I'll write this in blue. Let's write it in green. For a p-value, if you're given p-values, meaning proportions or percentages, you're going to use p times n is greater than 5 or q times n is greater than 5. All right? We went over that back in chapter 6 or 7. Remember NPQ? Square root of NPQ and all that good stuff? And in chapter 8, we also touched on that. So, we'll get to that when we do an example. Z-test is used when sigma is given. Or you could look at it, T is used when sigma is unknown or the sample is less than 30. Sample is less than 30. And we're going to go over some examples, and by the time we go over these 6 or 8 examples that I've got, you're going to understand when to do what.
Hypothesis.
Say again.
Hypothesis testing.
Yes. 4, find the test statistic. The test statistic is when you're going to use the formula. Okay? When you use the formula, and I'm just going to give you an example. I think the z-test, pull one. They're very similar because I told you they're very similar. I'll just use example Z is equal to x bar minus mu over standard deviation over the square root of n. Okay, there's an example. and then conclusion. And remember, there's two answers that I'm going to be looking for. What are they? Reject the null and what? Fail to reject the null. So write those down. I would put those on an index card. Or put it somewhere predominant in your notes. Put a tab on it and put a circle around it, because those are the 5 things that you're going to do no matter what you're given on the question. And I would also draw a picture here too. I would also put, whether it's a two-tailed test, or a left-sided test, or a right-sided test. And for a two-tailed test, 0.05 would be 0.0250. And you see those 4 digits, you immediately think what? Inverse what? Norm. Good, because you got to get a Z-score. If it's a T-score, you hit inverse what? T. And you put in the significance level, and you put in the degrees of what? Freedom. Okay? Question. All right, let's go back to the original problem. Everybody got these? Well, that's why you can hit pause on the video for the one person that uses the videos. All right. First thing you want to do is state the null on this one. And the null is H sub 0 mu is equal to, or P, sorry. No, I do not want to do that. P is equal to 0.5. And somebody tell me what the alternative is.
P is not equal.
Is it not equal, or is it greater than? Greater than. So I'm going to take my handy dandy highlighter, and we'll highlight this aqua, a different color. Refers to, you will be given the context of your alternative hypothesis with a greater than, a less than, or other than. Other than means not equal to. Other than, in other words, you'll say, or negative or positive. One of these examples says, blah, 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 claims that the mean is negative or positive, or something like that, okay? When you're given something like that, negative or positive, then that means not equal. Other than, not equal. But when you see greater than, or less than, or has increased or decreased, that means what? That means you're going to use a one-tailed test. And this is what side? Right side, right? Because it's greater than, so it's right side. Right tail. And you need to put that there so that tells you. So I'm going to draw a picture. Why am I going to draw a picture? Because that's what you do. Unless you walk on water and, write the book and everything, then you don't need to. So that means on the right-hand side, this right here, that right there, we've got to figure out, and this is where the alpha comes in. Now, in this problem, we're going to say alpha is equal to I'm going to give you this. Alpha is equal to 0.01. Okay? Now, you need to highlight this because I gave you that. If I don't give it to you, that means you will use 0.0 what? You've got to have an alpha. Write that down somewhere. You've got to have an alpha. You've got to have a confidence level. You've got to have a significance level to do these problems. If you don't, then you're going to have to assume 0.05. 0.05 is like the norm, the standard. So 0.01 means at this level, I'm going to color it red, and I don't use red. Red means bad, right? Red means rejection area. Rejection region. So I'm going to put rejection region. And here, alpha is equal to 0.0100. So when I do this, what's the first thing you think of? Inverse norm. Do it. Inverse norm. Now wait a minute. The calculator reads on the left-hand side. So that means that this side over here, I'll do it in blue. This side right here is confidence level. Confidence level of what? 0.9 what? 9900. So you would do inverse norm 0.9900. What is it? Remember, read the, oh, if you're using your index card, you're doing the right tail. What's the right tail? Somebody look on your index card. You were supposed to do that over the weekend. Okay, 2 point what? 3.2. All right, check your calculator. Does it say 2.32 when you do inverse norm 0.9900? Okay, so your rejection level is at the z-score. Would you say 2 point what? 3.2. So anything above 2.32, you're going to reject the null hypothesis. The rejection region means reject the null hypothesis. Remember that. And you establish the rejection region by what's given in the equation, or what's given in the question, and using your inverse norm or your inverse t. Now, we've done that. Now we got to get our test statistic. And in this case, since we are given P, our test statistic, and I'll do this in green. And we went over this, I think chapter 8, I can't remember. Z, given a p-value, okay, is P of the sample minus P over PQ over N. Now write that down and highlight it, because if you're given P, and we went over this in chapter 8, 8.1 and 8.2. And as long as you know how to plug and chug, chances are, after these examples, you're going to know when to use it. This is when you're given P. Now read the question. It says a random sample. So, sample. Let's highlight that word sample, because anything with a bar over it, that means P bar right there. So I got to put 118 over what? Fed call it P hat. 118 over what? 200. Somebody give me that number. 0.5 what?
85.
I got 0.59. Okay.
Yeah.
0.59. So that is right there. And then the rest is given in the question. Here's P right here. So Q is what? All right, crank that out. I'll plug it in, but y'all do the calculating. I've done it, but that's going to be 0.59 minus 0.5 over the square root of 0.25 or 0.25, 0.025, I can't remember. What's 0.5 and 0.5? 0.25 over N, which is 200. And I get, when you do that in the calculator, I get 2.55. Somebody check me. And where is 2.55? And that means it's right in here. 2.55 is in here. So that means our answer is to reject the null hypothesis. So what would you conclude? You would conclude that the alternative hypothesis, what is the alternative hypothesis, is greater than 0.5, therefore there's something going on. Okay? That's what you would conclude. You would reject the null hypothesis. So again, state the null hypothesis. After you state the null hypothesis, you need to find your critical values, which means your rejection what? Your rejection region. And then once you find your rejection region, you go over here and figure out your what? Test statistic. And once you figure out the test statistic, it's either going to fall in the region or it's not going to fall in the region. And if it doesn't fall in the region, then you what? You basically fail to reject the null hypothesis, or fail to reject the null hypothesis. Okay? Question. All right, this is one where you're given P. Now, you're not given the mean, you're given P. Now, there's going to be several that we're going to go over today. Today, we're going over P, and we're going over mean. And then there's some that's the standard deviation, which we'll be given that. We'll do that later, okay? If we get that far. Let me keep up with the time before somebody starts convulsing. Okay, we're good. All right, here's the next one. These are IQ scores. A lot of times you're going to see IQ scores or test scores because this is where a lot of this is used. The population mean of IQ scores for students is 100, and the standard deviation for the population is 15. Now notice that we are given that means something. Okay, when you're given the sigma, that means the population what? Standard deviation, and that means you're going to be doing a z-score. Okay? Researchers believe, and I'm going to write this in another color because I'm not going to write all the words. Researchers believe, there's that word, if I spell it right, believe the average has changed. Now, what does has changed mean? Does that mean upper, increased, decreased, or it's not the same? Not the same. What does not the same mean? Not equal. Not the same, not equal. Okay? It don't say increased. It don't say decreased. It don't say greater than. It don't say less than. So therefore, it narrows down to what? Not equal to, not the same. Okay? So you've got your alternative hypothesis right there. So researchers test 75 students, randomly selected students. It'll say that in the question, but that's irrelevant because all these are normal distributed, so it's random. And found that the X bar is equal to 105. Is there enough evidence to show that the IQ score has changed? I'm just going to put evidence IQ mean has changed. That's the question. Is there enough evidence to show that the mean IQ score has changed? And I haven't given you an alpha. So that means you're going to assume one. All right, so state your null hypothesis, which is pretty simple. What's the null hypothesis? That mu is equal to what? 100. So you can just go up here and go H sub O, and then go over here and say what? H sub O, H sub A is what? Mu is not equal to what? 100. So there's your null hypothesis. What kind of tail test do we have? So you're going to pull out your two-tailed index card, the one that we did first. Let's draw a picture. And we know that alpha is going to equal what? Alpha is equal to 0.05, and that's not given, so we use the standard. So 0.05, a two-tailed test, means what? 0.0250 and 0.0250. Look on your handy-dandy first card and look up 95% confidence level. What's the z-score? So that's up negative and positive because it's a two-tailed test. So what happens to those regions? They turn red. So I take my handy-dandy highlighter. We're going to color them red. Because that is now our what? Rejection region. All right, now I'm going to get y'all to do the test statistic. And I'm just going to give you the formula. And you need to be highlighting these formulas because we've already went over them, but you need to highlight them. Z, how do you know we're going to use Z? Because this is what? Given. Just look at the formula. X bar minus mu over standard deviation divided by the square root of n. All right, crank it out. And of course, after you crank it out, then you can come to the conclusion. So let's plug and chug. Z is equal to, what's X bar? X bar is your sample mean. What is your sample mean? Mu is your population mean. Remember? That's right, class. Thanks for the interaction. Over 15 divided by the square root of 75. And when you do the calculating, I came out with 2.89. What'd y'all get?
That's what I got.
And 2.89, all you got to do is graph it. Where's 2.89? So, conclusion, not all the time are they going to be rejection because I already, there's somebody down, oh, we've done 2 and it's reject. Are they always going to be just reject? No. Okay, I'm going to try to go over a third one here. I'm going to write the question, and I want y'all to start it. Okay, this one, I want to cover this one because this one may have to go over it in a hurry. Okay, anybody got a question here? You would be surprised how easy this is. Some of you are starting to see this is not hard. Why is it hard? Because a teacher will go through 9.1 and 9.2, and they'll fly through it, and then they'll fly through 10.1, and you basically don't have what? You don't have a clue what's going on. And then they get into this, and it's like, what the hell? You don't know what to do. How many of you have felt like that with hypothesis testing before? Anybody?
I feel like that was a lot of classes.
Okay, a lot of classes. Okay. All right. All right. So here we go. You got a question? Okay. We'll just be quiet now. All right. So here's the question. I'm going to let you do it. Population mean IQ score. I'm just going to put IQ score here so I don't have to write it out. Is 100. Researcher believes, I'm just going to put research, period, believes lower. Ding, ding. Random sample, 5 adults, 69, 79, these are test scores, 89, 99, and 109. And you got to find the sample and standard deviation. Do that in your calculator. You don't have to do it by hand. Is there enough evidence suggesting that the average is lower? Enough evidence suggesting average is lower. There's that lower again. And I'm not giving you an alpha, so what are you going to assume that it is? 0.05. State the null. Here's the null right here. So what is the alternative? Why can't y'all say more than, less than, equal to? Y'all say.
I think because if you like announce yourself and you're wrong, you sound like a know-it-all.
Then I embarrass you. That's my job, okay? What is it?
People's got lower underlined twice.
Lower even starts with the same letter. Lower means what? Less than. Is it a one tail test, left tail test, right tail test? I'm gonna start teaching y'all like y'all talk to me.
Left tail test.
Left tail, good. So it's going to be over here. So that means I'm going to use 0.5. Assume alpha is equal to 0.05. That means that all my 0.5 is where? 0.0500. So that turns into a red area. So there's our rejection region. Oh, we need a z-score. Somebody give me a z-score. Look on your left tail index card.
Negative 1.64.
Thank you. Negative 1. 1.64 or 6.45. I'm just looking. No, we don't use a z-score here. We use a t-score. Why? Because you only got 5 for a sample. And what do we not have right here? So I'm going to take my red pen and I'm going to put, no yawning in class, sigma is not here. Therefore, T. So you got to do an inverse T. So do an inverse T. What's the degrees of freedom? How many you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's 5 minus 1? 4. And your alpha is 0.05 or your confidence level is 95. So punch in what you need to punch in to inverse T. And tell me what you get.
Negative 2.13.
2.132 or 2.13 is good enough for government work. Sorry about that. That's why I got notes. 2.132 or 2.13. Is that what the calculator spit out?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we got to do our test statistic. I'm going to do it in green. I always do the test statistic in green because that is offset of the red, kind of, because everything else is in black. So I use something to offset the green. So I'm going to do green, and I'm going to do my T statistic. Why? Because this is a T score. So let's put T right here. And now I use my green, and we're going to go over here and say T. Please work with me. Okay, it's operator. It's not the technology, it's the operator. T is equal to, same kind of formula, except here you have to use what standard deviation? You have to use the sample standard deviation instead of the sigma. So, does the formula really change? No. The only thing that changes is you have to use the sample. This is when you do Anderson campus and you find out that 25% of the students drive a white vehicle. But how many at Pendleton campus drive a white vehicle? You're using the sample to predict what? The population. So, T is equal to, somebody give me X bar here and the S. What was X bar when you type these in?
89.22.
I'm just making sure. I'm going to use an 89. And the standard deviation, I got 15.81. Is that what y'all got? All right, plug goes in. 89 minus 100 over 15.81 divided by the square root of 5. I got negative 1.56. Y'all check me. And the first thing we do is locate that. And where is it? Well, oh my gosh, it's not in the rejection region. So you fail to reject the null hypothesis. Now, what did I tell you to call that right here? Except the what? Except the null hypothesis. So what does that mean? That means that the score did not go up or what? Go down. It's pretty much the same. Just those 5. And why? Well, 5 scores is not enough to really tell you. Okay? So, fail to reject the null hypothesis is the same thing as saying what? Accepting the null hypothesis. But just don't say that in a 3 or 4 level statistics course, okay? Because the teacher will what? Go into conniptions, probably funky chicken on the floor, slobbering at the mouth, you know, that kind of thing. All right, who's got questions? Now, those are 3 problems. What I want you to do is go home tonight, look over them. If you want to start 10.2, that's fine, but I would not suggest that probably until after we do some more problems, but you can try. Y'all have a good day, and I will see y'all when? Thursday. And I will load this video. Why is it a rough day?